Well, while you're doing questions,
A co-host.
yeah,
Um,
co-host, that's what you call it.
yes, I think I do.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes, Amber is a co-host. So thank you, Lori.
Okay.
So let's get started. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna take a deep breath. Okay. Welcome to Behind the Science, our monthly call with the amazing Mary Esther Gilbert. We have a great call in store for you all this evening, coming off of daylight savings. That's been the conversation that we've been having the last few minutes as people have been popping in. And as you are popping in, please send your last little messages, get those guests and teammates to pop on the call. We are recording it, so bring your people. We want to take advantage of Mary Esther. And so, hello to you, Mary Esther. And I am going to, let's see, I'm going to mute everyone so we can get a clean recording. And then I'm going to read your bio. And if you're ready to go, I'm ready, Mary Esther.
Yes, absolutely. Whenever
Okay.
you're ready.
All right. So, about Mary Esther Gilbert. Mary Esther is an honors graduate with a bachelor's degree in nutrition science and both a bachelor's and master's of science in holistic nutrition. With over 40 years of ongoing research of nutritional therapies, integrating the science and ancient arts of botanical medicine, nutritional healing, holistic fitness, and energy healing, drawing upon scientific research in the fields of biophysics, biophotonics, and bioenergy work, she works to help her clients successfully transform their health. Her True Health Mastery System uses evidence based nutritional health improving protocols and includes both preventative and corrective nutritional health management. Her scientific and holistic approach brings results and builds awareness of one's own nutritional physiology when learning how to fulfill the body's daily nutrient energy requirements. She believes a holistic lifestyle holds the key to living life in optimal health vibrancy. And she's got a gazillion letters after her name, which I won't go into. I can let her do that if she wants to. But basically, nutritional physiologist, if I got that correct. And just the most amazing, brilliant, heart centered, knowledgeable expert that we have the privilege of having access to here on our Behind the Science calls. So I'm going to let you take it away. Do you want to say anything or should we just dive right into these questions?
I just want to say hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm always so excited to do these because they're so much fun and I love answering the questions and just the more we interact together, the more I love it. So I loved Pamela's questions tonight. They have a nice slant. One of the questions is going to be especially fun, and I hope I make everybody laugh with my answers. But yeah, it'll be great. So let's dive into it. Yeah, let's get
Yeah,
into this sleep thing. Okay,
perfect.
I'm going to
Yes.
share my screen here.
Yeah, share your screen. And then tonight we're talking about the sleep awareness kit, which is relax, happy, air, and stop. And just as a little teaser, you guys all have to stay on until the end because that's when the fun question is. But this first question is, can you briefly go over each of the APLGO drops in the sleep awareness kit and why they made the cut for this kit? Because usually when we think about sleep support, we immediately go right to relax. But having those three other drops to support our sleep is great. So why happy air and stop specifically?
Okay, we're going to definitely get into the botanicals that are in each of these formulations. It's not going to be every botanical. I picked out the botanicals that especially help with sleep. But first, I need people to really let's get into melatonin, which is the hormone the body produces when it's dark. So when in daylight hours, your body produces a lot less. But when it starts getting dark, then your body produces more melatonin, which promotes sleep. So let's get into that. I want people to truly appreciate what this kit is all about. First of all, in the STP, there's the cherry, and that actually contains melatonin. Now, there's a lot of plants in the plant kingdom that do have some amounts of melatonin. However, it's not in the amounts that you need to fall asleep. Okay, so your body needs to produce this hormone on its own. And of course, with all the nutritional input, you're going to be able to raise your melatonin levels when it becomes dark. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about what melatonin is and what it does, and then we'll go on to the other drops. All right, so as far as the cherry is concerned, I want to explain further what melatonin is. So it's a signaling molecule, a hormone molecule, and it's produced by the pineal gland, that central little gland in the middle of your brain, and it regulates the 24-hour circadian rhythm or the wake cycle, your biological clock. Okay, so that's what melatonin does, and that's what it is. So like I said, it's produced in the body when it's dark, and then the melatonin levels drop when it becomes light. So bright lights that are on in the evening or too little light exposure during the day can disrupt your normal melatonin levels and your circadian rhythm. So there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that melatonin helps strengthen the immune system. And as the night progresses, I'll introduce more and more things that melatonin actually affects. So it also acts like a neurotransmitter in regulating the immune system. So sending signals to the immune system, as well as the physiological response to stress. So melatonin is involved in many, many processes that actually affect sleep. So melatonin has shown effects against insomnia, jet lag, narcolepsy, seasonal affective disorder, and that's involving abnormally long hours of sleeping, ultimately untimely levels of melatonin in the blood, and all of that is going to disrupt your sleep cycles and affect your moods. Okay, so people who say, I've tried everything, I've been through so many different practitioners, and they're still not able to help me. There's many, many factors that have to come together in order to help you sleep. But the most important thing is to provide your body with the materials it needs to produce melatonin at the right times. Okay, so there's a lot of confusion that goes on when people sleep with their lights on or with their electronics nearby, things like that. So we'll get into that a little more. So there's a lot of studies that imply a relationship between depression and light deprivation, and that also is improved with melatonin's effects in the body. It also stabilizes the nervous system, and research has shown that it's been suggested as a candidate to protect the nerves, a neuroprotective compound. All right, and it's also a great antioxidant effect on the optic nerve of the eye, the brain, and the white matter in the spinal cord, which is the fatty substance that surrounds the nerve fibers and carries information from one nerve cell to another. So your body is going to be receiving all of these pulses throughout the whole nerve network. All right, so this is what you want to pay attention to first of all. So I'm going to go over the other drops as well pretty soon, but I really wanted to cover melatonin first. I want to drive that point home. It's so critical for your sleep. Okay, those of you who've never seen where it is, so these are the different glands in the brain. The pineal gland is this tiny little pine cone shaped item inside the brain, and it can become calcified for various reasons, which I'll go into now. And so if you have a calcified pineal gland, it's going to disrupt your sleep. It's going to disrupt your mood. It's going to disrupt so many things like learning disorders, attention deficits, depression, all kinds of things. So the pineal, the kidneys get calcified, as you know, they form kidney stones, and other organs can become calcified as well. But the pineal gland has the highest calcification rate compared to all the other organs and tissues in the body. And so it's going to be linked to all these different degenerative nerve diseases. So there's many studies that show several physiological conditions that can alter the form of the pineal gland. Also obesity is known to affect the pineal gland, and the brain consumes about 20% of the total oxygen in the body. So it's vulnerable to more oxidative stress or degeneration than other organs since it can't produce the antioxidant enzyme catalase. So the body's always producing different enzymes, different proteins in order to fulfill its trillions of biochemical processes. So here is a diagram, a cross-section of someone's brain. And this is an example of what it shows up as. This white dot here is the calcified pineal gland. So in other people's brains, you can't even see this one. So this is a normal, well, uncalcified pineal gland. And as one progresses, and it's not necessarily related to aging, It could be because of poor diet, lifestyle, excessive stress, chronic periods, over a chronic period of time. So as you can see, there's, these tiny little white dots here that show that it's becoming calcified. All right, so the less you can remember, as an older person starts progressing toward Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases, then chances are it has to do with melatonin levels, light-dark cycles, and the diet. Of course, there's many, many factors that I'll go over, but for the most part, this is a result of not getting enough sleep and the brain not knowing the difference between light and dark.
Wow.
Okay, so melatonin suppresses the intracellular neurotangles. These are abnormal accumulations of basically, scarring fibers, thick fibrous ropes that fit that are in the brain or in any other tissue where you have an obstruction of circulation because of these neurofibers that are forming thick protein strands that don't allow circulation to come through. So that's another biomarker of Alzheimer's and other, mental dementia kind of diseases. So, okay, the volume of a pineal gland is reduced in patients with primary insomnia and may be related to a functional sleep disorder. So anyone with a sleep disorder, the first thing you need to do is to ingest enzyme active foods. That term always comes back around because that's where everything begins. You have to have enzymes in order to reduce these kinds of plaques and these kinds of entanglements in the tissues in order to allow the blood flow and oxygenation and delivery of nutrients. So the sleep disorders have to do with light and dark, melatonin level production or lack of. Alrighty, so in humans, the phenotype of the pineal gland can be changed by one's health status or by environmental factors. So if you're surrounded by synthetic pollutants, then that's going to affect your hormones, which will in turn affect how your body interprets whether to make melatonin or not. So recent studies found that organs and tissues and cells, they have the ability to synthesize melatonin, but there's more melatonin produced altogether from these extra pineal cells than from the pineal gland. So those amounts cannot replace or compensate the pineal-derived melatonin in terms of your circadian rhythm regulation that responses to dark and light environments. So, the first thing you want to do is make sure you're sleeping in total darkness, especially when you're starting out trying to correct your sleep rhythms. So that's the first thing you need to do so that the brain doesn't have any stimuli. So melatonin signals from the pineal, they influence the body's daily activities like meal times, sleep, and your metabolism. So melatonin is one of the major hormones that you want to straighten out. So pineal blood filtration rate is comparable to that of the kidneys. The kidneys also filter, and you can gather kidney stones. Calcification can occur in the kidneys. Same thing with the pineal gland, only it's much smaller, obviously. So researchers believe that the pineal calcification was associated with certain disorders like schizophrenia. They seem to have a direct influence on neurodegenerative diseases and the aging, since the rate of calcification increases with aging. And I think that just has to do with a person not paying attention to diet and not paying attention to regular sleep cycles and making sure that they sleep in dark rooms, away from your electronics, which is also a form of stimulation to the brain. We don't realize it's happening, but it's affecting us. So pineal calcification, like I said, is associated with neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. So, this is because melatonin production is lowered. It's a neuroprotector, it's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. So it's very important that your body produces melatonin. Okay, so here are some examples of what foods contain melatonin. But as I said, it's important for your body to produce more of it. These are little bits of melatonin in these foods, but it's nothing compared to what your body can make and what your body needs to make. All right, so and it can elevate your serum melatonin levels that can match the nighttime peak levels. And the melatonin is released in the cerebrospinal fluid. So even that doesn't reach nighttime levels. So your brain has to release it and produce it at a high enough level to help you get sleep. Okay. All right, so I went ahead and summarized the different drops in two ways. This is a really short rendition, in answer to your question. So the STP contains the cherry, so this affects your sleep. Okay, and then as far as aiding the nervous system, then the cherry, ashwagandha, ginger root, and pot pepper or cayenne pepper will help the nervous system calm it down, help you deal with stress. There's so many different components to these botanicals, obviously, that apply to so many other systems. So altogether, they're synergistically working to put your body in a much calmer state, repairing what needs to be repaired and attenuating the stress chemicals that we produce under stress, things like that. So the relax, it has lettuce and passion flower leaf for sleeping. It helps put you to sleep. These are not sedatives. They just calm the stress reactions in the body, the inflammatory reactions that stimulate a person. So then in the nervous system, the lettuce, passion flower, ashwagandha root, banana, chamomile, and the ginseng are excellent for repairing nerve damage and attenuating the actions of the nervous system. And in the air, I chose because of the dog rose. I'm going to go into these in the next chart a little bit more detail, but I wanted to summarize it so we'd have time for other things. So the dog rose is very important for sleep and the nerves, as well as in happy, the ginkgo leaf and the ashwagandha. Those are very surprisingly very effective, all of these, for helping you just get your sleep cycles in order and help your body produce more melatonin. Okay, but you still have to watch the lights at night, and the earlier you go to bed, if you go to bed after 10, between 10 and 11, 12 is pushing it. But if you go to bed in those hours, then you'll sleep longer and you'll go into deeper sleep.
Mm.
Okay, so it's really difficult. I know everyone's so busy, and some of us
Yeah.
stay up late at night working, watching the clock, thinking, I've got to go to bed. I've got to produce more melatonin so I can get a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
I think there's so much that can be said. I mean, we could have a whole call on just like sleep hygiene and routines and everything, not even talking about nutrition, but screens and all of that stuff. So,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is amazing. I had no idea that STP had melatonin in it. So, okay, continue.
Yeah. Okay. If you, of course, this is going to be, like I always say, it's going to be on my website, so you can
Yeah.
look at these individual ones. So yeah, basically, I just kind of expanded on the chart above. I explained more about cherry and the melatonin and how bright lights on in the evening that I've already mentioned. So pretty much, I think I probably wrapped that up pretty well so far. So as far as the nerve system, the nerves, calming the nerves down, I mean, it's great for, the other botanicals in STP really help reduce inflammation and do some of the repair work that causes inflammation, right? But these particular botanicals, this addresses, the problem of sleep already. So that's the stop. And then of course, we've got the relax. So I go into a little bit more detail there on each one of these. I don't know if you want me to go over these briefly or
Yeah,
not,
if you want to
Pamela.
go over them just real briefly, you can run
Okay.
through them real quick.
Okay, sure. So yeah, so lettuce, I mean, I do summarize it more as I go through, but I'll go ahead and do this now. So, okay, the lettuce, it's important for the neurotransmitters, all of the transmissions that your nervous system sends out. This is the phytochemical compounds in and all the other nutrients, vitamin B6, in lettuce, all of those work together to normalize your brain functioning and help you produce the hormones, that influence mood, like serotonin and norepinephrine, and of course the hormone melatonin. So all of this is going to work together to regulate your body's sleep-wake cycles. And a lot of the other botanicals in Relax, they do this and other functions, and they all contribute, to helping you with better sleep quality. So I mean, the passion flower has great sedative effects. Of course, it's not going to put you to sleep unless you eat or take a very strong tea concoction of passion flower. You'll probably feel very sleepy, so it has some of those components in it. But for the most part, our bodies are receiving the genetic codes of these plants and the phytochemical nutrients that cross the blood-brain barrier. So they're going to act in a different way than if you were to have a very strong tea of the food. I hope you see the difference here, because we're dealing in genetic codes that our DNA can read and utilize right away for whatever it needs to do In this case, it's going to help you relax, and to just other things it does. It has, if you exercise, then it's going to have uh, a very positive effect because exercise produces the hormones that help you stay calmer and just relax more and just feel a lot better. If you exercise regularly and you work out all the time, you're going to feel great after your workout. And when you get to that point, that's when it becomes much more of a pleasant habit, something that you look forward to, but only if you're well nourished and you're getting your sleep.
Right.
So, so, so I mean, we got to put it all together. So then ashwagandha, it's great for cognition and just thinking better, helping your memory, things like that. And a banana, it's great for other kinds of things like strong bones and teeth and heart, structural muscles. But it pays attention to the nerve and the gland functioning, to keeping you calm without sedation. So bananas are the happy fruit. And then chamomile flower, it has nerve relaxing actions because of the amino acid glycine, among other phytochemicals that contribute to that. But the Siberian ginseng has been found to regulate the nervous system as well. So they all have different phytochemical compounds and they all act differently on the nervous system and the hormonal system, contributing to the multiple trillions of actions that our cells have to perform in order to function and make sure everything is working properly. It's much more complex than we have time to go over, but yeah. So then the lettuce, of course, it has the pyridoxine, and that's great for the neurotransmissions that carry certain signals between the cells. Okay, passion flower, calming and soothing effect on the nervous system. So they all help your body respond to the inflammatory stress reactions, basically, is what they're doing. Okay, so the air. Now I picked the air because of the dog rose, and there's so many studies on how it improves the mood, feelings of well-being, your quality of sleep, whether you sleep deeply, get into that REM sleep. That's what dog rose has been known to help. And as far as the nervous system, it's got all kinds of things: anti-mutagenic, anti-carcinogenic. It's an antioxidant, so it stops any kind of inflammatory reaction, which is what antioxidants are so good for, and helps you produce the hormones and the nerve transmissions throughout the nervous system, so your body's better communicating, all in all. So that's the dog rose. Now, of course, in the APLGO book, it goes into a heck of a lot more detail as to what these botanicals do. Okay, but we're talking about sleep here. So now the ginkgo, that surprised me because I always thought, okay, it's great for not necessarily stimulating the mind, but making the mind work better, making the brain cells, produce the transmission signals that make a person smarter. You can retain things better, your attention span is longer, and your intelligence, increases. That's what the ginkgo leaf is famous for. But it's also other components in it helps reduce anxiety and it helps normalize sleep. So if you are going to bed at 1 hour one night and very late the next night, and you keep fluctuating like that, your biorhythms are going to get very confused, and it's going to affect your sleep. So the ginkgo actually helps regulate that. If you need more sleep, it will work in your body so your body will tell you, okay, it's time to sleep. And it might be an overwhelming desire to sleep, or you might fall asleep at the computer, something like that. So ginkgo has very potent things like all these different flavonoids and terpenoids to help improve your memory and learning ability, and improve your microcirculation. That's very important. Okay, and then as far as the nerves, the ashwagandha in happy has a cognition promoting effect. It supports the formation of new dendrites, the little extensions off your nerve cells, that provide new neural pathway extensions so that someone who has had or is suffering from Alzheimer's or Huntington's or Parkinson's diseases, and they're losing their nervous system and their mind, the ashwagandha has all kinds of different phytochemicals that help help your body have the raw materials to grow new nerve cells and new neural pathways. Okay, so the brain is always rewiring and trying to find a way to communicate, and the ashwagandha has been found to be very good for that.
And that's
Okay,
in
so
a lot of ingredients, or a lot of our drops, ashwagandha is.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So you've already sort of started to answer this question in terms of that chart that you just did, which was super helpful about sleep and nervous system. So how do these drops support the parasympathetic activation, the rest and restore side of the nervous system?
Okay, great. It's not necessarily the same, so this is a good angle on it. Pam really is. Okay, so here's a photograph of the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, it's basically got two components. Of course, the autonomic nervous system. There's, the parasympathetic nervous system is a part of the autonomic or automatic nervous system. So these are the organ systems that is connected to the brain and the spinal cord, all these nerves that extend out to different areas of the body. So they're basically, up here at the foot of the brain, and then at the bottom also, the very last um, connections for where located in the lower body, the lower area of the spinal cord. So as you can see, it's connected to all of these different things. So this is what it controls. We don't have to think about any of these actions and any of these systems. It's done automatically for us. That's basically what the parasympathetic nervous system is. So so the nerves are craniosacral, and they originate in the brainstem and the sacral spinal cord. So they promote digestion, salivation, storing any energy, like the carbohydrates you take in, your body will store it in the form of glycogen for future use. So it's like a complex carbohydrate that's stored in the muscles as an energy reserve. Also, it conserves energy as it slows the heart rate, and also increases intestinal and glandular activity like waste excretion, sexual arousal, just things that are involuntary, right? Counters the sympathetic nervous system that responds to the fight or flight reaction, restores a state of calm after stress or anger. So that's what the parasympathetic nervous system does. It will respond to the stimuli, and then it'll help calm you down afterwards. Okay, it also modulates the immune system, and it helps you manage stress. It slows your heart rate down and reduces your blood pressure. So it helps you, just get into a state of relaxation so that your body can heal. And also, it counteracts the harmful effects of stress and restores equilibrium to the mind and body. And it helps to control your body's response during times of stress. So that's what this part of the nervous system does. It just helps you just restore yourself back to equilibrium. But if you're constantly under stress, then it's going to tax that system, right? Okay, so again, the whole sympathetic nervous system, it lists all of the organs and how it functions here. That's on this left side. But on the right side, like I said, these are the central modulators in the parasympathetic system, as well as the peripheral modulators. So it's going to just monitor and modulate things. All right. And then another way of looking at it, in answer to this question, these are the botanicals, these phytochemical compounds, nutrient factors in these botanicals will help, are involved in the nerve restoral process. Okay, so it's going to restore the system back toward equilibrium or biochemical balance. So you're calm again, So the ashwagandha, it supports the formation of new dendrites, the nerve extensions from the nerve cells. That's how they, extend out and communicate to each other. And the cayenne pepper in the stop, it stimulates the release of endorphins, hormones that produce feelings of euphoria, has an analgesic effect in reducing pain. All right, and then the cherry in STP has that stabilizing effect on all the regions of the nervous system. And in air, it's involved in the synthesis of, or generation, your body produces hormones, neurotransmitter communications in the nervous system. So altogether, they're working to restore your body back. Okay, and also the ginger root, because of the fatty acid contents, and that help maintain the cell membrane, of your brain cells and your nerve cells. Those are very, very important. Once those are damaged, then you're going to have degenerative nerve problems and brain function problems. So the Siberian ginseng and relax, it helps regulate the nervous system. and the lettuce and relax also, producing the nerves that carry signals between nerve cells. All right, so this is a little bit redundant, I realize, but I wanted to
Mhm.
break it down so that people have a different way of looking at it. Okay, these botanicals will help, just restore you back to normal after
Mhm.
stress, which can happen all the time if you're under stress all the time. So that's very
Right.
taxing and very, it just uses your body's nutrient reserves. And so the rest phase process, this is where um, you're going to recuperate from the stress and you're going to gear yourself up for being able to handle stress again. The body's very, very, very astute when it comes to preparing itself for the next onslaught. That's what exercise does basically. You break down your tissues and you nourish yourself and you rest. And then the body just says, okay, I'm not going to be this weak next time. I'm going to be
Mhm.
stronger. So that's what progressive, fitness means, is the body's response to these stresses. But when it's in between those stresses, then that's when it does get stronger. So the banana is very great. It's in the happy, calms the nervous system down, doesn't sedate you. Chamomile flower, nerve relaxing actions, just enough so that you can recuperate. And the passion flower has a calming effect on the nervous system. So in between, it's like in between labor contractions. Okay, you've got to rest. Get ready for the
Right.
next one, right? So that's basically what the nervous system is doing when you're under stress.
Okay. Great. And it is so it's just another iteration of why it's so important to rest and sleep, because that's when our body recovers and repairs, so that the next day when we have the stress that is brought on by life happening all around us, then we're more equipped to handle it.
That's
Um,
right.
Okay, so let's talk about timing. If someone wants to build a consistent bedtime routine, what's the ideal timing? We're all over the place with what time we go to bed and everything, but is it, right before you go to bed? Is it an hour before? What's your suggested recommended timing?
I would think that after you eat dinner and the evening is, getting toward bedtime, you give your body a chance to move the food from the stomach from the stomach into the intestines. So that takes, excuse me, that takes about 30 minutes, maybe longer. So an hour after dinner and just before bedtime, try to have a little longer time between your dinner and bedtime. So I mean, your body will digest food while you're sleeping, but it's going to use more energy to do the digestion than any recuperation it needs to do, right? Any repair work. So give it 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours before bedtime. And then right before bedtime, you want to take the drops. And of course, since they do have sugar in them, you want to either brush your teeth or swish and swallow with water. Make sure that you get all that extra sugar out of your teeth. So you don't want to have, dental issues. But of course, they do have antioxidants and antimicrobials in the drops too. So I'm sure that helps too. But anyhow, I would say between those times, because that way you're making better use and your body's able to use them.
hmm and this was not a question that I wrote down, so hopefully you can answer it. If you're waking in the middle of the night, is it okay then to take extras in the middle of the night if you've already taken them at bedtime?
Yeah, the sleep kit, I would think so, sure. So if you're having trouble going back to sleep, but if you're paying attention to all the other factors, which is number five,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll have less likely to do that. And people who have to get up in the middle of the night one or two or three times, it's because of the amount of fluids they're taking in, their melatonin levels. If you go to bed earlier, your body stops producing urine until it's morning. So if your melatonin levels are confused, right, then it doesn't know what time to wake you up in order, or it won't. It will keep producing urine all night long, so that the full bladder will wake you up. So people who have trouble doing that. So if you go to bed early and you don't drink too much water, after dinner. Of course, drinking water after dinner is important too. You want to be able to store your nutrients and distribute your nutrients. So water is important. But, a couple hours before bedtime, try not to drink any water unless you're super thirsty. If you're super dehydrated, that's a different story. Don't guzzle it down,
Mm-hmm.
but just get enough to satisfy your body's needs so you're not super dehydrated in the morning. That's uncomfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so just time it so that you can be sure that you're not going to get up to urinate during the night. And there's other factors that can cause that as well, that are maybe a medical condition or medications. But basically, it's the melatonin and the sleep cycles that you have to get into in order for your body to not be confused and not have to produce so much urine, just enough so you can sleep, until morning.
Okay. And then I guess it kind of goes along with question 4, which I forgot that I wrote down to ask you. The difference between falling asleep and staying asleep. Is there any difference in how you would stack them, how you would have someone take them? It's still all 4 at the same time, regardless.
Yeah, if you want to maximize, those effects, those relaxing effects, calming down the nervous system so that you can just relax enough, to get to sleep, definitely. Yeah. So number 5 will answer this further.
Yes. So let's go right into number 5. What are the signs that someone's sleep issue is stress driven versus nutritional?
Okay. So they're pretty intricately intertwined. Um, So stress has a negative impact on brain functioning, of course, affecting your thoughts and perceptions, and produces all these inflammatory responses to stress, which further keep you awake. And then, of course, if you're not eating all the full range of nutrients your body needs, all the vitamins and the minerals, and you're eating enough raw food so that you have the enzymes to digest those very foods and then some. If you have raw enzyme active plant foods in your diet, you're not going to have problems digesting, and that can keep your body awake as well too. It can be very uncomfortable. So make sure you're cleaning up your diet, and over time it will detoxify you. Don't worry about detoxing unless you have been exposed to many toxins, and that's a different story. Then eat a lot of drops, eat a lot of plant foods, but that's another tangent. So, but yeah, clean up your eating behaviors so that you're getting the nutrients your body needs to be very, very efficient in managing how your body rests and during its waking hours, right? You don't want to exacerbate all these different stress that you're thinking and how you're perceiving things. When a person is highly nourished, they perceive their stress in a completely more calm and logical, uh, you know, uh, objective way, rather than letting themselves get immersed in the panic and just really getting totally upset. Right. So a highly nourished body is better able to handle stress. All right. So you have less of those terrible stress reactions, oh no, my computer broke and I've got a Zoom call in 5 minutes kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you want to just go with it, go with the flow. And of course, a person who is well nourished will also plan things better. And if they notice their computer starting to act crazy, then they're going to do something about it long before they have to use it for something important. Things like that, just all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. So eat properly. And then your optimal nutritional intakes is what is required for better brain processes. Like I said, calmer emotional responses, objectivity, logical thinking, problem solving, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're hangry, right? You can't focus on anything except eating. So our brain, you're saying, does the same thing. If I haven't nutritionally supplied my body, then when my computer freaks out, I'm going to freak out and not know what to do with it. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
you'll react much better if you're highly nourished and well rested.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Well, we have a couple more questions. But if anyone has a question, please type it in the chat because at the end, hopefully we'll have some time for her to answer some questions. But let's move on to number 6. If someone has tried everything for sleep and they just feel defeated, what would you want them to understand about supporting their body at the cellular level?
Okay, this is what I was thinking about. Okay, so like I said, you nourish yourself completely. Whole organic foods. Don't tell me you can't afford organic foods. You're going to eat less and be more nourished, so it'll come out the same. Okay, you won't have cravings. You won't be fatigued. Your immune system, everything will work much better. You'll be able to deal with life much better. So buy as many organic foods as you can. Stay away from the genetically modified foods and the pesticide-ridden foods. You don't want to put your health in danger. You want it to be a well-tuned biological machine. Drink purified spring water. These are all the fundamental things that you need to do for alleviating pain conditions and inflammation, correcting all these systems at the cell level. and it will turn your system back toward recovery. It'll start functioning better and better as time goes on. You can't expect overnight results because it takes a long time to get into a degenerative health condition or an ill condition, and it will take time to reverse that process, but it can be done. Your body will recognize these nutrients and get to work immediately to start restoring everything according to its hierarchies. Okay, so and then you, of course, it automatically gives you a better body and mind. You're able to manage stress. You find yourself much more calm and much more able to react to things, and you're going to be better biochemically balanced. So you're going to set the right conditions for being able to sleep as well. Having been able to solve your problems more efficiently is going to take away a lot of the stress that people lose sleep over, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so and again, the body responds to dark and light for producing the right amounts of melatonin. So bedtime sleep is best when eliminating all the light sources in the room. So sleep in the darkness. If you're afraid of the boogeyman, then get a teddy bear or something. I don't know. you know Consistent bedtime hour helps the body establish that biorhythm, so you can get the rapid eye movement or REM sleep wake cycle, known as the circadian rhythm. So here's a little tidbit. The hypothalamus gland in the brain has a group of 20,000 nerve cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, the primary conductor that receives input from the eyes, which signal light levels. So if you have little blue or red, signaling lights from your electronics, that's going to keep you awake too. You don't realize it, but it's registering in your eyes, which is signaling the brain, which is interfering with the melatonin. Okay.
Hmm.
So, this whole chain reaction. Our ancestors did not have anything but candlelight, and before that, they didn't have anything. They had to go to sleep when it was completely black. You couldn't see anything in front of you, and so they were able to completely shut down and get some good night's sleep. All right, so circadian rhythm disruptions, they happen when the internal clock doesn't match your external time. So, match your circadian rhythms to your clock. And that does not mean, I feel badly for people who have to work late shifts, right?
Late
Or
shifts.
night
Yeah.
shifts, because
Mhm.
that always causes problems. Jet lag, blue light exposure at night, and your off hour work shifts. So those things will disrupt your circadian rhythms too. And then symptoms. So you've got insomnia, excessive sleepiness during the day. That means you didn't get enough sleep at night. Reduced alertness, digestive problems. That's going to affect the hormones in the digestive tract too. Okay. And then long-term sleep disruption. So if you're in a situation where you cannot go to bed early or cannot, get your sleep on a regular basis, then it's time to change your life. You know, uh,
Mhm.
where there's a will, there's a way. Some people say, oh, I can't change. I can't change. There's always a way. If anything, you can pray about it and things will open up for you, that kind of thing. So, these things are linked to all kinds of degenerative diseases, cancer, depression, diabetes, even obesity, because it messes with your hormones, the hormones that help your body, recognize when to sleep and when not to sleep. And that produces the cortisol levels and other stress reactions that cause obesity. So it's all intertwined, interrelated. And like I said, avoid the toxins, avoid the caffeine. Unless you like it so much, then just take it during early in the day. If there's any residual effects of caffeine in your blood system, that's going to contribute to interrupting your sleep too. Sugar, too much sugar in the diet is going to affect all kinds of things that we don't need to get into in this call. But my website or my YouTube channel has plenty to say about sugars. Trans fats in the diet, all the wrong types of fats that cause plaques in the blood vessels, disrupt circulation, and disrupt the the hormones that are pulsing through the body too. So that's going to interfere with that. Inflammatory reactions that result in pain, nerve, or digestive discomfort that we've already mentioned. So yeah, this is going to disrupt the production of hormones involved in sleep. And then create the conditions in the body that enforce deep sleep, regular exercise and sunlight. If you've ever been out in the sun all day, you come home, you have lots of water, you have a good meal, and you feel really good. You feel tired and you go right to sleep, right? Sunlight is helping your body increase its circulation. It helps detoxify. It helps generate tons of different hormones that promote all of these different processes in the body. So your body is very busy when it gets sunlight. And exercise too. It changes your whole biochemistry so that it's more efficient. You get detoxified better, and you eliminate the toxins that disrupt your hormone systems and your nervous system, things like that. Okay, and make sure that your diet is optimally nutritious, and you are, whenever you feel thirsty or you have a dry mouth, drink some water. Don't drink distilled water or tap water, but drink the purified spring water, especially right after you've been perspiring and sweating profusely in your exercise. Even if you just go for a short walk, you're going to increase that metabolism. So yeah, you're just supplying your cellular actions, that they need to regenerate themselves.
Hmm.
And of course, it does it best when you're sleeping.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. And, just choose a life that you love, because people who hate their lives are extremely stressed out, depressed. And again, their body's producing stress, inflammatory reactions that it just has that downward spiral on their health.
Hmm. I remember where you say create a calming environment when our oldest son Zach was really, really young, like an infant. We had to go through the whole sleep training of like dark room and the sound machine and like the white noise and like his whole bedtime routine, and it was non-negotiable. And now he's an excellent sleeper, but it really does make a difference.
Oh, yeah. More than we know. Your body
Hmm.
detects something that we don't necessarily notice. So yeah, create a calming environment in your room, like you just mentioned, and of
Hmm.
course, like you said earlier, the pendants that we have, the
Hmm.
medallions that we have, will help protect us against the EMF fields in our electronic devices. Keep them at least 3 feet or 1 meter away from your bed. That's the general advice out there, or in another room. That's even better. So you don't hear the disruptive notifications, even if you turn your volumes way down, your mind still recognizes them. Even if you're asleep, it still registers them. So it's
Hmm.
going to disrupt your rest and regenerative capacity. All right. So I just go into a little bit more about the electronic devices, the kind
Hmm.
of light that they emit and how they can inhibit melatonin production. Okay. So yeah, I'll have you guys read that.
Yeah, perfect. And then, again, I just want to invite everyone, if you have questions for Mary Esther, type them in the chat because we might have a couple minutes at the end here. But I wanted to end on something fun because these calls are so full of information, and sometimes we need a little fun to help our brains retain the information. I know, at least I do. So I had a little, this or that kind of question for you, Mary Esther. So this is for you. um, Socks or no socks?
I had so much fun with this. Oh, wear breathable socks, for heaven's sake. You have to have socks. Just don't, let your skin breathe. And
Yeah.
so you'll be more comfortable. Breathable socks, the natural fibers, or,
Hmm.
or just luxuriate in the buff, have
Yeah.
your feet be in the buff. The rest of you can be dressed, but your feet, if you want to just not have any socks, let them slide around in the sheets and just, relax yourself that way. It's really cool.
Yeah, I get cold feet at night sometimes, so I have like my nighttime socks and they're like crazy. They're the life is good, super cozy, loose, all of that. Okay, pitch black or nightlight. I know you said pitch black earlier, and
Yeah.
if we're afraid of the boogie monster to get a teddy bear.
Yeah. Or, if you're more spiritually inclined, just send a love sphere around your body so that the
Mhm.
boogeyman won't bother you, kind of thing. But yeah,
Mhm.
pitch black, melatonin, to maximize your melatonin production and eliminate all those distracting visuals. Some people have to fall asleep to the radio or watching television or listening to something on their cell phones right next to their heads. And boy, that really does disrupt everything. So you don't want to do that. Try to get to the point where you don't have to, feel like you need that.
Mhm. Which brings us to the next one, total quiet or white noise.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what white noise can we have that you don't plug in? Like if you have a fan for white noise, then that works great, right? You don't hear any outside noise, but it shouldn't be from an electronic device. Some people listen to, healing frequencies or sleep frequencies or sleep music that people record on YouTube or something like that. but I really can't answer that. I don't know any other kinds of white noise. There's machines that you can buy that generate staticky noise, but I find them annoying.
Mm.
I never purchased one myself, but I just don't like the idea personally, you know. But yeah.
I have a sound machine and it plays the sound of the ocean. And for me, I need that just to distract because I'll hear all the other noises going on in the house unless that's on. So that's what I use unless I'm at the ocean, like on a vacation, and then I'll just sleep with the door open.
Oh yeah, that's the best thing to do. Yeah,
Mhm.
whatever works for people, you know, I can't be the judge of that at all.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
And
Audio.
yeah, let's see the
Yeah.
next one. Alarm or no alarm?
Okay. Oh boy. Um, I say, okay, if you have a job and you went to bed too late the night before and you're afraid you might not get up in time, an alarm is a must, right? But otherwise, just wake up when you're finished sleeping. Just sleep until your body wakes up naturally. If you
Mhm.
have that luxury, if you have that privilege in your life, then do it, you know. Um, going to bed early enough so that you have at least two REM cycles, you know, that makes you less likely to oversleep because once you're rested after an 8 hour period, if you can sleep 8 hours or even 6 hours, you know, at one REM cycle and one half of REM cycle. A REM cycle is 4 hours, but you know, as many as you can, and then you know, you're less likely to oversleep when your body feels more rested because subconsciously you're telling yourself, I've got to get up at a certain time. Sometimes, you know, some people can say, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and they'll get up at 6 a.m. You know, they have
Yeah.
the body clock just already tuned in. um, but if your body didn't go through those two rounds, then just curl up with your cuddly fur babies, your animals, your kitties, your cats, your birds, whatever. You know, close the blinds and just take a nap during the day. You didn't get enough sleep at night, try to get a nap in during the day. And if you're your own boss, you know, you can schedule yourself time to take care of yourself that way. It's very important. You're not lazy. You don't feel guilty. You have to take care of yourself first.
I love that reminder and that permission also. And that's again why we do what we do at APL, right? So that we can not have to have a boss. Some of us do, but
Yeah.
okay, let's close us out. Again, I don't see any questions in the chat. So if anyone has anything, please type it in. But why don't you close us out with these five main points?
Okay. Yeah, basically, I just, you know, skimmed the document and picked out what is the most redundant, really. You know, the STP, all these others, they do some similar things. They do have their unique functions. So the STP botanicals, they help improve the melatonin levels. You know, that's the first thing. The main takeaway, the most important thing in tonight's call is to make sure your body's producing enough melatonin so you get enough deep sleep and recovery, right? Regeneration and healing work. And then it's critical for aiding the body's own melatonin production, and that's the most important thing for getting better sleep. So that's the STP. Now the RLX, basically these botanicals will help calm the nerve communications, and they'll, you know, not allow too much stress reaction and the anxiety, that perception, you know, and also they'll help improve your memory through better sleep and sleep wake cycles. Those are very, very important for the brain functioning, helping to promote hormones that influence your moods. So it will act upon your nervous system and your hormonal system. And the air is involved in the synthesis of hormones for improving your moods, feelings of well-being, supporting quality sleep. So it's a very uplifting drop. You know, the botanicals in this formulation is very uplifting. So if it's going to improve your moods, you're not going to feel as stressed and your body's going to feel more relaxed. And so everything's going to be conducive to a good night's sleep, right? And then happy is known to help improve memory and learning ability. I should say the botanicals and phytonutrients in happy improves memory and learning, reducing anxiety, normalizing sleep patterns, you know, supporting the formation of new nerve pathways. That's very important for anybody with memory deficits. And then combining a nutrient-rich diet, you know, regular sleep times, exercise and sunlight. Those are the key factors for maintaining optimal brain, heart, and hormonal system functioning. And it results in the optimal melatonin production and levels for restorative, regenerative sleep. So that pretty much sums it up, I think.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, I thought that was great. You know, you hit on those five or the four drops and then the nutrition and routine. And then yes, please tell us about your book and where people can get that and where they can find you and all of these resources online.
Okay, so this is if you go to holisticchoices.com and you click on the APLGO link on the left, it'll take you to the APLGO page, which I will show you briefly real quick so you see what it looks like. Okay, so once you go there, you click on APLGO, which is right here, and you end up on this page here. That's where I post all the PDF documents going back to 2023. And also, this is where you can also purchase the book. And you can, for 2026, here are the new sets of PDFs. And then I also have been posting the videos that I've done for APLGO every month on different products since 2021. I think I'll move the 2026 videos up here so people don't have to scroll so much. But But anyhow, yeah, I mean, this book is so important, I think, for if you take your APLGO business seriously and you can't answer a lot of the questions that people have about the products. People say, well, is there science behind it? Yes, there is. The botanicals in these products have years and years of research, peer-reviewed scientific studies they are the most credible kind of research that you can present to people. So I compiled it all into this book. There's maybe over 1,000 scientific references, and each botanical in every single drop has its own complete and very extensive bulleted, summarization of what the science says that these botanicals do for the body. So there's many different kinds of sections in there, an encyclopedia, and just nutrition charts, and quick reference charts. Those are the best. People really like those charts. So yeah, it's like almost a 600-page book, and I really highly recommend this for everyone. I wrote it for everyone so that they could be more aware of what these drops do and how effective they are in the body.
Well, they're just incredible, and we are so grateful to have you and your expertise and taking the time with us, not only to do these calls with us every month, but also to share all the information and all the time that you spend prior preparing for the call and researching and gathering the data and everything. It just gives us more credibility when we say, yes, there's science behind it. So we want to thank you. So if anyone wants to ask a question real quick, please do so. Otherwise, I just invite you all to unmute and say thank you to Mary Esther as we all continue with our evening and take our sleep awareness kit so that we are rested and our nervous system is calm and ready for the stress of tomorrow. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
It's
you, Mary
awesome.
Esther.
Thank you, Mary Esther.
You.
Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure. It's my
All right.
pleasure.
Sleep well, everyone. Sweet dreams.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, you are
Thank
important.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary Esther.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you, Mary Esther.
Love you all.
Thank you.